This lesson begins to explore the charting and graphing feature of Excel. Here we introduce the popular graphs available in Excel and start to learn how to plot a line graph. We will now be looking at some basic charting techniques in Excel. Charts, also known as graphs, are a very useful way of visualizing data in Excel. And some of the popular charts used are the line charts, the column charts, and the pie charts. We'll illustrate them using data from our store sales data file. So let's open that file. Store sales. So what we'll do is we'll first use pivot tables to quickly create some data summaries and then visualize those data summaries using these various kinds of graphs. We'll summarize sales across different provinces in different time periods. So to do that, first let's insert a pivot table. Insert pivot table. My data gets selected, my entire data. I'll create a pivot table in a new worksheet. Do an OK. So my pivot table is created on the left hand side. On the right hand side, I have my field list, which contains my various columns, the title of columns that I have in my data. So I'll organize my data such that my vertical axis is the time period and my horizontal axis is the particular province. So I select the province and drag it and place it in column labels. So notice my horizontal axis are the different provinces. Then I select my order date, my time period, and drag it and place it where it says row labels. And since my order date is a particular date, that's why you see a whole lot of dates in my vertical axis. I will collapse them by putting my cursor anywhere on the vertical axis, doing a right click, group, and I'll group them by months and years. So years, and then within those years, particular months. Doing OK. So my structure gets prepared where I have the 4 years, 2009 to 2012, and the months within those years. Next, I will fill in my data in this data summary. So I would take sales and drag it to where it says values. So now my data summary is complete, where I've organized the sales data across different territories, across years, and within those years, the particular months. Next, we'll use some charting techniques to visualize this data. Let's begin by using the line charts. Specifically, I'm interested in plotting the sales for the year 2010 across different months for a few provinces. First, I go to any empty part of my worksheet where I'll be putting my line chart. And then I go to Insert, and notice in this area where it says Charts, there are various options available. So I choose the line chart, click on that, and choose the very first option, which is the most commonly used option. So I get a blank slate. Now I'll be drawing my line chart in this blank slate. Before doing that, since I'm interested in plotting only the 2010 data, let me collapse the data for other years. So I do that simply by clicking the minus sign in front of the years. I collapse 2012, I collapse 2011, and I collapse 2009. Also, I'll hide the pivot table field list on the right side by clicking on the cross sign there. And let me also increase the viewing size of the spreadsheet to 120%. So let me drag my line graph slate up, and now I'll be placing my line graph in this area. I do a right click, select data, add. So what I'll be doing is I'll be plotting the monthly sales in the year 2010 for the province of Alberta. So I'll give series a name, Alberta, and I'll in the series values area, I'll select the sales data for Alberta, the monthly sales data for that year, January through December. And then do an OK. And another OK. So a line plot is drawn whereby I have sales on the vertical axis, I have the dollar sales volume, and on the horizontal axis I have the months labeled 1 through 12. I can also change this numbering of months. Rather than having it 1 to 12, I would prefer January through December. So I do a right click once again, select data, and on the right hand side where it says horizontal category axis labels, I click on edit, and axis label range, I select January through December and do an OK. Another OK. So now my horizontal axis has been labeled January through December. So that completes my line graph for the province of Alberta, the monthly sales in the year 2010. Notice the highest sales happened in the month of April. I'll now add a few more provinces to this plot. Namely, I'll add the sales in the province British Columbia as well as the province Ontario. So once again, I do a right click on my line chart, select data. I already have the sales data for Alberta there. I'll click on add. I will now also add data for the province of British Columbia. So I'll give the series a name, British Columbia, and in the series values, I'll select the sales data for British Columbia, January through December. And I'll do OK. And then once again, since I also need to add the sales data for Ontario, I'll do another add there. Series name Ontario. And I'll select the sales data for Ontario, January through December, and do an OK. And another OK. And if I want, I can extend this graph, I can stretch it across. And so that is a line graph of sales in the year 2010, January to December, for 3 provinces: Alberta, British Columbia, Ontario. Notice, generally speaking, Ontario has higher sales than the other 2 provinces. In a subsequent lesson, we'll see how to give a chart title and axis titles to this plot, and we'll also see how to plot the other popular charts in Excel, namely the column charts and the pie chart.